What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show recap with Mo. Well, we're getting ready to get into another episode breakdown of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. But before we get into this thing, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shit in it that's going down, alright? So the episode we're getting ready to get into is Season 3, Episode number 1, titled Home Sweet Home. Now, the synopsis for this episode states that Rock makes a life-changing decision in the aftermath of the Mafia's ambush, but it's too little too late for Kanan as he looks to pave his own path free of his mother's lies. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this thing. Alright, so we kicked this episode off with Marvin in a van. He's been transported. He's still in pain, but he's still handling his business. Now, in Season 2, at the end of Season 2, he was shot in the abdomen. Alright, so he's duct taped up. He's still bleeding. He's still in pain, but he's still, like I stated before, he's still handling his business. He heads over to one of the stash spots. While we're seeing him doing that, next we see Raquel at the hospital on the phone with her brother Lou to inform him not to mess it up. Don't mess it up, don't say too much, but do what you need to do. But most importantly, make sure you put all of this shit on Crown, alright? So Lou is in the studio, and now that studio is a crime scene because one of his artists was put down as well. So next we see Marvin, as I stated before, he's headed over to this stash spot. He retrieves some boxes. He packs the boxes in the van, and then they head out. Now, the block is hot. You hear the police all over the place. And Marvin is like, let's stay low. So headed back over to the hospital, we see both Kanan and Laverne in the waiting room. And then eventually we see Detective Howard coming inside of the waiting room as well. But he doesn't go over to Kanan nor Laverne. He just gives Kanan a look and he immediately disappears, right? So next we see Neek. Now Neek is headed to the crib. He finds out that his oldest brother, Ronnie, is back home. He's gotten out of prison. Ronnie tells him that, he was able to get out a week earlier due to, a TB outbreak. That's pretty much what was going on. So that's the reason why he's telling, Neek that he was able to get out early, right? So back to the hospital, we see Raquel giving her side of the story. Of course, at this point, they've asked her multiple times. And right now, she's getting a little annoyed by, look, this is absolutely the last time I'm going to tell you what went down. Because she already knows the game. She knows what they're trying to do. If she changes her story just a tad, then they're going to say, okay, she's not being truthful here or she's not being truthful there. But anyhow, she states that she comes from a musical family. She put some money into this record label along with her brother. And she claimed that, it's always been a passion of hers. And I was like, what? So anyhow, the detectives seem to be buying it because they go on to say, well, has anyone mentioned to you about South Jamaica or the Baisley homes? We found out that they have this whole operation going on. And she was like, yeah, that was definitely weird, but I knew Crown was in a whole lot of stuff. So she's sticking to the game plan. Like, this is about Crown. Crown is the one that's over all of this, right? So going on from there, we head over to the studio where we see now Lou is actually giving his side of the story. And he's like, well, Crown owed, money to the Jamaicans, the Italians, the Dominicans. He owed money to everybody. But he also states that he never knew, anything about the drugs and all of this stuff. And I was like, boy, these folks are selling it, right? And, but he also adds in there, I don't know if you guys noticed it, he stated that he noticed Crown always lived above his means. Like, meaning to say that, there was always something about him that seemed a little muddy, but I couldn't really put my fingers on it, right? So going on from there, we head back to the hospital where now we actually see the detectives actually discussing the matter. And honestly, I found it Interesting that they all pretty much believed what Raquel was telling them because, first and foremost, her story stayed consistent. So there was no one in the meeting that could say, well, she did say this, but then she said this as well. So that was the one thing that they all could hang their hats on. And they all mentioned that it all had to do with this character by the name of Crown Camacho, right? So her story was consistent, everything was great. And then we see where Detective Howard is making a comment, and the captain is like, hold on, what in the hell are you doing? Like, you supposed to be you supposed to be somewhere else and not here. And he was like, oh, well, I heard what was going on. I wanted to come down and, give you my support or whatnot. So anyhow, while Detective Howard and the captain are discussing the matter, in walks Detective Burke, who wants the captain to know that Howard is a whole bunch of bullshit. Detective Burke is like, look, everything that's going on can be linked or traced back to Howard's shooting. But the issue is, she states that Howard continues to lie instead of telling the truth. All right? So the captain is like, look, Burke, I need you to calm the hell down. First and foremost, you're off this case. As a matter of fact, you're suspended from your job. I need you to go ahead and give me your badge. I need you to give me... I was like, damn. Like, he was like, look, I'm doing this for you. And Burke is like, look, man, he's just not who you think he is. Like, Howard is not that guy. And he was like, look, I've heard enough. Like, give me your damn badge and roll the hell out. And while she's leaving, we see Howard coming out because, he was around the corner trying to hear what was going down. And as soon as she disappeared, he shows up and he was like, look, man, she would be a damn good detective if she can get off of this. And the captain is like, look, you don't have to worry about that now because she's gone. So the next day we head over to the fish market to see, what's his name, Stefano, informing Sally that he messed up. He messed up thoroughly, all right? Before Sally says too much, because they're talking in the midst of the market, Stefano is like, look, let's go ahead and head outside because the fish have ears around here, all right? Because you saw old boy up at the cash register. He was listening to every damn thing. He went from the front and he turned his whole body to the side so he can make sure that he can have a front seat on this conversation. So anyhow, when they get outside, he states that he got word from a reliable source that people are listening. And you can use your imagination when I say the people are listening. He's already had the place, checked out to make sure there wasn't any bugs or anything around there that were listening. But of course, he's going to continue that. He also states that, like the police are all over the place. The city is hot right now. So you need to calm down. And they're hot right now because of what happened and what transpired last night. Now, of course, Sally is all apologetic, but of course, Stefano is like, look, man, I ain't got time for that. Like, I told y'all from the get-go, I didn't want to be involved in it, keep my name up out of it, and he was cool with it, all right? So next we see Raquel, Marvin, Laverne, and Kanan coming into the crib. And Marvin isn't trying to hear the noise that Kanan is bringing right now because they are packing up. Marvin is like, look, go ahead and help your moms out. Kanan, like, I'm going to be honest with you. I know he's frustrated. I know he's upset about his mom not telling him everything about his father, making him think that his father was dead. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I get that. But at some point, bro, you become disrespectful. And your mom, yes, she did give you life. She has looked out for you. She has taken care of you. She got you up out of the city when the block was hot. Like, she has done some of the things that a mother would do for her child, to protect them. But at the same time, bro, this whole disrespect to Marvin, Uncle Marvin is like, look, bro, you need to get your head together. Like, for real? Like, this disrespect that you're giving your moms it's a little bit, it's a little funny right now. And he's not here for it, all right? And Kanan is like, look, I ain't got to help her. I don't live here. And it's just crazy, man. But anyhow, over at the studio, we see Lou looking around the spot where, his artist laid it one time. And one of these detectives came in here like, oh, why are you in here? Like, this is a crime scene. And then he says, just get out. Like, this is his spot, bro. Like, you can be a little more respectful. He did get shot at. He did lose an artist in this situation. So it seemed to me like at some point that the detective or whomever's working this case could be a little more, understanding of the situation. All right. So going on from there, we see Raquel and Laverne having a conversation about her mother. And she shared a lot of information about her mom that I think Laverne really needed to hear, definitely about her death. Her coming over there to have a conversation. It was just great for Laverne to have that closure to a certain degree. They did have a meeting in the house at the table, and Raquel is like, look, I'm done. I'm out of this, all right? She's like, I've done so much, and at this point, I'm just trying to get up out of it. All right. Kanan is like, so you thinking you and me are good now, right? Like asking in a sarcastic type of way, like, so you think since you up out of it, you think we're good now, right? And Raquel is like, look, no, we got a whole lot of shit to talk about. You see what I'm saying? We not done. I'm your mother always. You're my son always. Like, we're never done with this, all right? So Kanan is like, well, the only reason why I showed up at the hospital to begin with was to hear this lie that you and my dad, were putting out there about, Crown being the mastermind behind all of this. And of course, Marvin is sitting there, and he's in pain, I know, but at this point, he's like, well, hold on, what the hell are they talking about? Because he's saying you and my dad. Marvin is like, what is he talking about? Like, DEFCON is dead. Yeah, he's dead. So who is he talking about? So, of course, Raquel has to come clean at this point because she's like, look, there's a whole lot of shit you don't know about, but we're gonna go ahead and dish it out. All right. So anyhow, Kanan doesn't believe that she's giving up the game. Like, there's no way in the world you've been in the game this long and you just gonna give it up. Laverne is like, look, give your mom another chance. She's trying to talk some sense into him. He's not trying to hear it, and he goes on about his merry way. So back in the house, we see Raquel actually telling Marvin the true identity of Kanan's father, which he cannot believe at this point. It's the whole notion of, he would never been safe. He would have never been safe as the son of a cop. Kanan would have never been safe. Like, there would have always been a target on him. And his mom, Rock, knew that. So that's the reason why she lied and said that he was, DEFCON's son, a drug legend, right? And, I understand, why she would do that. I don't understand why she would take so long to actually confess to her own son, though, that, yes, I have told you this over the years, but your father is actually whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. So anyhow, this is when it starts to get good. All right. So we see Burke speaking with her father. Now, at first it seemed like his father was her father, not his father, but her father was trying to support her. And then all of a sudden he was like, what the hell are you doing? And she was like, look, Dad. He was like, no, you listen. Like, Howard is not under investigation. You are. You are the person. Like, you focused all on Detective Howard. Howard is clean. Like, even if he had some shit on him, which he does, he's not the one under investigation. You are the one. And you're trying to save your job, but you're so focused on Howard and everybody else around Howard and why he got shot, this and that, this and that. And her dad is like, look, we're going down to meet your union representative, but we need you to keep your mouth closed. We're going to bring your attorney, and we're going to see what we can do, all right? So later we see Neek and his brother Ronnie riding around the city, and Neek is still in awe about the fact that his brother was able to get out earlier than, expected. He also tells him that, it's different now. Ronnie is like, look, man, I left you to run the company. I left you to be the CEO of the business, but you sit over here running errands for Rock. And that's not what I left for you to do. I wanted you to run the business. And Neek is like, look, bro, it ain't even all about that. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit later about Neek and, Raquel and all of that stuff. We'll get into that a little bit later. So next we see Kanan and Famous, right? They smoking. Kanan is sitting up here telling Famous, like, I'm never going back over there. I'm never going back home. Famous is like, look, you're going to have to do something. You know what I'm saying? Because right now we got an eviction notice, my brother. You're going to have to go somewhere. You ain't got to go home, but you know how it go. You already know how it go. But you're going to have to get the hell up out of here. Because if we don't get this money right, we're going to be outside, my brother, and you're going to go back home. Because ain't no way in hell your ass going to be outside. So anyhow, going on from there, Marvin and Lou are having a conversation. Now, Lou is like, she got rid of Scrap for nothing. All right? He's emotional right now. I think it hurt his soul to hear that Raquel made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? She simply took Scrap out, but she effed it up. She admits that. Now, I can give her credit for that because she actually took ownership for that. And when Lou tells, Marvin the whole situation, Marvin is like, well, he definitely was doing something. And so Lou was like, no, bro, he definitely wasn't doing anything. Well, maybe he was, but he definitely did not deserve to die. And of course, they both agreed to that. They poured a little bit out for him. Now, it's crazy because I saw them pouring it out, but I don't know, was it going on the rug? Like, who gonna clean that up? Clean up on aisle A? Is that what we doing right now? But anyhow, next we see Raquel and Howard talking. And he tells her that it seems that, the department is believing their story about Crown being the mastermind behind all of it. He also tells her that Kanan came to his crib to talk. Now, Raquel, I need you to calm down a little bit because you're making this situation a lot worse than it has to be. The way that you're talking to the detective when he's only trying to protect y'all's son. That's all he's trying to do at this point. Next, we head over to see Detective Burke along with her father and her attorney meeting with the union representative. Now, the union representative had all his ducks in a row. He pretty much pointed up the fact that she was doing some things behind the scene that a lot of people considered red flags, definitely fooling around with minors. And she was like, no, there was a misunderstanding. They brought up Laverne. They brought up another individual. And, even the point about her getting Laverne out of jail when she was shoplifting or whatnot. So, it's a lot of questionable things that she has done, definitely as a detective for the police department. And I think, honestly, that she got too involved in it. Definitely when her partner got, laid out a little bit and went to the hospital. I think that's when it started to click a little bit more that she wanted to prove herself more than anything. And honestly, I think that was pretty much it. Like, she wanted to prove to her partner, she wanted to prove it to the captain. Most importantly, she wanted to prove it to her father. And I say that because you can definitely see that there were some insecurities within her. She was so questionable about some things. So I could see that. And I can also understand her plight in all of this, trying to prove it to everybody. Because she went so hard in the paint for, just little gems here and there, but not the whole case. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So next we see Kanan and Famous going over to see, Famous's supplier. All right. So his name is like Simrad or something like that. He's playing a game with his son. Simrad simply put is like, look, I don't want to do no work with nobody that get down on my product. Like, I can't work with you. Like, I'm good with you taking my product, but I'm definitely not working with you because I know how you get down. So I was like, yeah, you can't smoke the product if you selling it. How you gonna make some money? So anyhow, both Kanan and Famous, they leave up out because obviously they ain't getting nowhere with that whole situation. So then we head over to Marvin's crib where we see him going through some items that someone from Laverne's mother's church had dropped off. When, what's her name? Laverne comes in, Marvin tells her that, somebody dropped it off. Maybe she wanted her to have it or whatnot. So what was included in this box were a lot of her personal items, clothing, and even some records and some other things, right? So Marvin tells her that, if she wants to go to the memorial that they're having later on this week, he will go with her. And I was like, that's cool, bro. Like, I think he feels honestly bad for what he did to her previously when he found out that she was part of the community, and he was frustrated about that. I think he went a little bit too far. So I think at this point, he's really trying to rekindle that relationship. And she honestly needs her father at this point, because you could tell the way she laid her head on him, like she really needed that embrace. And I'm glad that, it's helping them both. Now, I'm not going to say that the counseling was working, my brother, but you sitting in there not really wanting to be part of the counseling, that the lady that told you to sit your ass down, you ain't going nowhere. Like, you seem to be learning something, all right? Going on from there, we head back to Famous's crib. Now, Famous is looking in the fridge, wondering what the hell happened to the turkey that was once upon a time in there. Kanan is looking around the room like, you ate it. Like, you got high and you ate everything in sight. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what Simrad was talking about. You can't get high on your own supply. And that's exactly what this brother was doing. So as he's closing the refrigerator, there's a knock on the door. Famous goes to the door to look at through the peephole, and he notices, his mom's, not his mom's, but Kanan's mom's and the detective. And he was like, man, the police is with her too. So anyhow, long story short, they come in to talk to Kanan. They send, what's his name out the room to give him a few dollars. He disappears. All right. It ain't nothing in the refrigerator. You might as well go. So they try to speak some life into Kanan. Kanan ain't really trying to hear it. He's like, so you on her side now? Like, I see what y'all trying to do. But no, I'm done. He doesn't believe anything that his mom is saying to him. Like, he just wants to be out of this whole equation. But Detective Howard is like, look, man, it's a little more serious than you think. They've brought in, the alphabet people, you know what I'm saying, starting with the letter F. And they really working on this thing. Like, the block is literally hot right now. And we need you to stay safe. And in order for us to do that, we need to work as a team and as a unit. And, it is what it is. But, Kanan is like, it's hard to do that. I hear what you're saying. But at the same time, it's hard for me to understand that and consume that when I know your partner knows too damn much. And who's to say she ain't gonna say what she knows? Because she told everything and she knows everything about what's going down right now. And I'm just surprised that they didn't, start off earlier, doing what they were doing. When it came down to, the partner, Detective Burke. Like, why did it take so long for them to discern what they were going to do or not? So anyhow, Detective Howard walks up out of there mad as hell, like, I already know what I got to do. So I was like, hold on, Howard, what you got to do? So we'll get into that, I guess, a little bit later, man. I'm trying to hold off as long as possible and give y'all everything in between. What else did I miss? Oh yeah, now this is when it really starts to get good, y'all. So back in Neat's crib, we see his girl, and she's concerned. She's concerned about Ronnie being back, being under their roof. Like, she's really concerned about it because she honestly feels that this brother is up to no good. He's a bad influence on their child, and she really doesn't feel safe with him being there. Neat reassures his girl that everything is going to be good, and the next thing you know, he's gone. All right. And meanwhile, at restaurant, we see Detective Burks and Detective Adina. I think that's how you say her name. Adina's fed up. Like, they're having this little meeting, but at the same time, Adina's like, look, man, I'm done. Like, I'm done with you. There was one time that I loved you, I liked you, but at this point, no, we good. Like, don't even call me no more. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, like, she going through so much. And then she even says to her face, like, directly, point blank period. Like, I hope all of this was worth it. Like, I hope this case that you got about, Howard and all of this stuff, I hope that it was worth it. And I was like, was it? I don't think it was. I don't think it was at all, man. Going on from there, Kanan finds his way back to the old neighborhood where he comes through the back, I'm assuming, because he didn't go through the front. But he comes to the house and finds his Uncle Lou in the building. So when he gets in there, we find out that Lou was the one that called him. He wanted to talk to him because he felt like he was the only one that could really have the capacity to actually understand what Lou is going through. But is it just me? But doesn't it seem like Lou is always upset about something? It doesn't matter what it is. He was upset at his girl. He was upset at the record label. He was upset because Famous wasn't doing his job on the wax. It was so many things that he was upset about. I'm not sure, is it jealousy or whatnot, that he feels like he hasn't achieved anything outside of, Raquel or whatnot. Maybe that's what it is. So he's just wanting to prove to himself that he could actually do it. Now, going on from there, I need y'all to pay attention. All right. So Neek heads over to see Raquel. All right. And this is in the middle of the night. Well, not in the middle of the night, but it's later on in the evening. Raquel is like, are you lost? Like, why are you over here in my crib or whatnot? He was like, no, I was just wondering that myself, but I ended up here. And I'm going to just say this. I've been saying it for a little while now that there was a potential opportunity for Neek and Raquel to get together, even if it's short term, because we see the pistols are out, the boom booms are out. Who knows what's going to happen? Is this going to be a Black Widow moment? How the mother get down, she get done with what she get done with. Next thing you know, the brother has become an appetizer. You see what I'm saying? So it's just crazy, but I'm not sure. You could tell something was getting ready to go down, but the one thing we knew for sure, when she allowed that brother to come in that house, I already knew something was on her. Now, it's just odd. Did he actually see it himself? Like, did she show it to him? Or did she have it out of plain sight? I'm just not sure. But anyhow, next we see Detective Howard talking on the payphone. I ain't seen one of those in years. But anyhow, he calls someone. He's speaking directly to somebody in an aggressive tone. And he's like, look, we definitely need to meet up. Like, we need to make that happen tonight. And I was like, who in the hell is he talking to? But I started to think about it for a moment. Okay, this is definitely, somebody that, he knows or has a relationship with. So from there, we head back over to Rock's crib where we see both Neek and Rock getting it on. Now, she initially was trying to eat her wet noodles, all right? No sauce, no meat, no nothing. She was spinning that fork like she was getting ready to go to town on it. I'm telling y'all. But anyhow, Neek comes up on her seductively. He's looking at those lips. He's looking at those eyes. And when he comes in, he's feeling on her. And he's just letting her know, look, I want your attention and I want you to want mine as well. And it was crazy because I've never made love before where I had to pull off a pistol. Like, is that the thing now where you got to put it down? I've never done that before. Maybe I need to try that. Maybe that'd be a cool thing to do. What else did we see? Laverne is playing her mom's records. She stopped at one of the records. I think it was Roberta Flack. And I do like a little bit of Roberta Flack, man. She got some joints from back in the day I really, really enjoyed, man. So going on from there, that's something that I'm really pondering over because I recall back at the scene with Laverne and Marvin, he had agreed to go with her to the memorial service. So I'm wondering, even though everything has, played out like it's played out with her mom and she's actually had time to spend with him and all of that stuff, my question is, though, in all of this is, how in the hell did Marvin end up there at the memorial service and Laverne didn't? You know what I'm saying? Like, how in the hell did that happen? So anyhow, he can't take anymore. He's looking at the bulletin. He gets up and he runs out. Now, back at the crib, we see Laverne. She got the records laid out on one side. She got this laid out on one side, and she's putting the pictures out. So it's almost like her own memorial service for her mom. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Meanwhile, Burke is waiting on Detective Howard. Now, I already knew some shit was going to go down. I couldn't place my finger on it, and I couldn't really say 100% that who he was talking to on the phone, but I knew from his tone that it was obviously someone that he knew. So of course he parks his car, he walks over to talk to her, and she's just putting all this information out. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what I do know and leave it alone. But she goes into grave detail, like she's almost trying to spell it out. Like, Raquel was your informant, and she was very, very close to DEFCON. All right, that's why you were even in the same context as a Raquel. And then you started messing around, even though she was underage, and y'all had a baby together by the name of Kanan. She never told you. She stuck to the code. She stuck to the script, and everyone believed that it was DEFCON's child. All right. She also believed that that he had Sam killed because he was going to testify against Detective Howard, which is strange. And then last but not least, after she gets done telling him everything that she knows, the next thing you know, the camera pans to the outside, and then we just hear this. And I was like, damn, like, for real? I said, you just gonna put her down like that, detective? Like, is that what we doing? Long story short, she was setting him up or attempting to set him up. Now, it would really be messed up if she actually had like a secondary recorder around in the car, because I'm honestly thinking that, she would have assumed that this man was going to do some type of harm to her. But who knows, man? And I just thought that this was a messed up way to go out. But these are the games that people play in these types of environment. Like, it's just crazy. It's asinine. So, of course, Detective Howard cleans the scene of the crime. He makes it look as if he was never there. And he finds that she had a handgun under her left eye. She also had a recorder in her jacket pocket as well. So she was definitely getting ready to do something to prove herself to be right. All right. And I'm intrigued as hell to see this flip mode episode that's getting ready to come on later this week. So anyhow, with that being said, man, I'm about to get up out of here. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this recap thoroughly, man. I'm enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? So I will see you guys tomorrow night for Tyler Perry's Sisters. Also, I did not get to do it tonight, but I'm definitely doing it tomorrow night. The Oval, I'm going to have that put out as well, along with the Sisters breakdown. And I might have something else for y'all later on this week. So anyhow, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.